We'll start today's class. So now we have studied Python in 2 classes, right? So in the very first class, I just introduced you the Python, okay? What Python is and the other things. And in the second class, we actually installed the Python IDE. Actually, we installed Python, but that IDE is actually a default one. We didn't install it separately. That was a default IDE that actually comes with the Python. When we install the Python, that IDE also installed. So which means that we can use other IDEs as well. But I have already said the reason. This is enough for the moment because we are just the learners. You are just learning. Okay, it's just the beginning, and there are so many things that you should know to actually become a Python developer, so Python expert, which means that you can almost do anything you want in Python. So it's there, but it will take some time. But in our classes, actually, this is third class for Python. We are actually going to do 4 programming languages now. So for one programming language, it will be like 1 month and 2 weeks. Okay, which means 6 classes approximately. The classes for a programming language will be 6 classes. So this is third class. So in the other 3 classes, we will be actually doing looking at how to develop a real-world application. There are different types of application. We will see one of them. Okay, so it will be in the future classes and in upcoming classes. So today, actually, we are going to study the basics. Okay, basics means the basic functions. There are so many functions on Python. When we just start learning these things, we have to go through some steps. So these are, I already explained that these are basics. Okay, whatever you see from this home to this one, basics. And this is a little bit advanced things. These are also some advanced things. This is very advanced, this using other modules. There are so many modules in the sense like they actually help us to do like different tasks with the Python. Okay, machine learning and everything is there. Okay, so now here what we are going to study or discuss is this, some of the basics. Actually, I just took some notes here, prepared it. So we are not going to go through this. We'll go through these slides. Okay. So the basic, very basic, that I have mentioned so many that there are 18 slides. Okay, but I will teach you very important things. Okay, that you actually, or you or anyone, beginner should know these things, these basics. Okay, the very first thing is actually how to display something with Python. Okay, how to display something, display in the sense displaying on the screen. Okay, now we want a screen like with programming languages or with now you know when you use any application, any apps on mobile phones or computers, you know that we see something, not something, we see lots of things. Now you are actually seeing something, right? These slides and all, now you see these things. So which means it's actually displayed or printed on the screen. So with Python, how to do that? So with Python, if you want to display something on the screen for users, we are users. Now I'm a user of this computer, so I'm just looking at something on this screen. Okay, now to do this with Python, we have to use this function. Now for everything we have some functions in the sense they are part of the programming language. Functions are part of programming language. They are already built. Okay, they came come with the Python. Okay, this is actually same for other programming languages as well. Okay, we can use them. So we should know that. Okay, it's not that difficult. Okay, programming languages are not that difficult to learn because it's already there. We are not going to find anything new, or we are not going to do something that no one has done before. Okay, which means we are actually going to repeat the same. Okay, they some other developers, they have developed some functions, some modules, so which we also can use. Okay, it's there. It's actually some advanced things that we will anyway understand things in future. Okay, now this is actually we have already done, but anyway we'll go through these steps. So we have to use this print function. It should be print. Okay, if you want to print something, you have to use this, and this braces or brackets within that, you have to put the thing that you want to print. Okay, so we can use you can use that installed IDE or this one as well. I will be just using this because you don't need to start another program, another application. So this is how we have to do print. Okay, just type this print, and then here you have to type anything. You can type anything you want. Okay, you can enter anything you want, and this is how you just write something and run it. Okay, it will be printing. This is how we do. Okay, the real world applications are different. We are just learning. Okay, the same thing, the same function we use in real world applications also. Real world in the sense, now whatever you see actually real world applications, simply you can say that real applications, they are real applications because they are really used. Okay, they are actually used by the people. Okay, we are using it now, so this is real. So develop, or if you want to print something on this type of real application, that you have to use the same function is used. Okay, the same function is used, and you have to put whatever you want inside that function. Okay, or method, sometimes called method function. Okay, within that you have to write, and it will be printed. Now you should know that it's actually this one. Why is this? Why is this? This says that it's a string in the sense some sequence of characters. Okay, sequence. No, there are many characters. Okay, A, N, Y, so many characters, not just one. Okay, so because of that we use this, or you can use this also. You can use single quotation mark. Okay, this is also possible. You can use this. Okay, now let's see, like when you just avoid this. Okay, when you remove them, design also. Listen to this. When you remove those quotations, okay, those marks, what happens? You are running the program. Now it's displaying what? It's displaying, or it's actually called throwing an error. Okay, so it says that the error is syntax error, so which means invalid syntax. So now you have to anyway put that marks. Okay, now we'll see. I'm going to just type something like this, numbers, and try to print that. See, it's printed. So why? What's the reason? Do you know that? Do you know any reason? Do you know the reason?
I know the reason. Sir, the reason is because we aren't using any letters and we are using numbers. We use those two ways to only show the numbers.
Yeah, true. Yeah, correct. Now, if it is number, then you don't need to put that. Okay, you just understand now. It's actually comes under data type. Data type. Okay, there are many data types. One you should know, string. String in the sense like, for example. Okay, for example, I should say that whatever you type now, I'm just typing. This is a string. It can be number and all, everything. Now, these are strings. Okay, so I will just type something like this. So it can be text. Okay, text and numbers. That's all. Okay, and special characters Okay, special char or characters, whatever. Okay, now see text, numbers. So it can be all of these or what? Just text. Okay, now it can be any or the combination of these. Okay, and another second type is actually mostly used one is integer. So it's called integer. Integer actually, I will just say that is actually number, just to display number. They are different type. Okay, string is actually you can say text. For you to understand, I'm saying that it's actual type is string, and this one is also, this is integer. It should be integer. Yeah. But
so I have a small doubt because for string there should be text, numbers, and special characters are must.
No, not must. It can be one of these. Okay, like one of, in the sense like, for example, I will wait.
So
I will comment.
Number only, then.
No. Wait. I will just explain now. I'm just commenting this because it might be causing some errors. Okay. So now see, for the Python, what you have written here is, what is the data type? Number. Okay, integer. Actually, it's integer, or for you, you can say number as well. No issues with that. Number. Okay. It's just understanding this as number. Okay. So for that one, you don't need to any double quotation marks or single or whatever. It's not necessary. Okay, because it understands this is in numbers. These are numbers. So I will just print it. There's no issue with for the Python. Okay. Now what is this? What is this? For you, you might say, because by looking at this, it's number. Okay, it's a number 243. But when you put this inside this double quotation, it actually becomes a string. Understood? It's string now. Okay. When you for the Python, not for us. For us, actually, for human, we are intelligent, right? We have knowledge. We understand that this is actually number. But for Python, for programming languages, when you put this inside this, it's string, which means it just consider this as a string, and 2, 4, 3, something like that. It's not number, which means if it is number, you can do some arithmetic operations. For example, you can add, you can subtract, you can multiply. Okay, those kind of operations can be done. Okay, but since it is a string, you can't do so. Okay, so for example, I will just do something like this. I will do something like this. Now 3 plus 4. Now when I run this, what is the answer now? What's going to be the answer result that is going to be displayed here? when I run this. Tishan?
It's obviously,
Sorry, Tishan, what's going to be the answer here? What's going to be printed here? When I run this, huh? Tishan?
It's going to be printed as
But 3 plus 4 or 7? What is going to be printed? As 3 plus 4 or 7? Which one?
3 plus 4.
Okay, we'll see. Okay, we will run this and see what is going to be printed here. See, what is printed? 7.
7.
The reason is, the reason is this is number. So we have put this plus, which means it's an arithmetical operation. Like it's actually we are saying that to add these two numbers, so it will be added. Okay, it is added, right? So that is why now it's printing what? 7, not 3 plus 4. So we'll see now. Now we'll see. Yeah, but
that means the number data they use it for arithmetic.
Yeah. This one is this plus say that these two numbers should be added. We know that, right? It's maths. So Python understand that, but it should be like this. Now, when you put something like this, we'll see. When you put something like this, okay. Now we are writing something like this. Okay. And another one, I'm just going to copy this and write another one. And it's going to be something like this. So now these are not numbers. Okay. These are not numbers because we have put this one within the double quotation mark. So it's considered as what? A string, and this one also a string. So it is not going to be added. So it won't display 7 here. And this is also not going to display 7 because this is also considered as string. But the difference, there is a difference. So here what's going to be printed is this one. So here, because it's considered as string, the whole set. Okay. So it will be printing as 3 plus 4. Okay, this one will be printing 3 plus 4. Now I will put this one also, okay, for you. Then you can understand this. So you can just see the difference, right? So now this will print 7 because these are numbers to the data type number. This one will be printed as 3, 4. So not 34 actually. Okay, we can just read it as 34 now. So no issues saying as 34. Okay, it will be printed as 34. Okay, this one. And this one will be printed as 3 plus 4. Understood? We'll run this and see. I'm saying, but anyway. See, did you see? Did you see? This is how that is actually called data type. You should know that. The reason why these are actually giving, these three are actually giving different outputs. The reason is actually the data type. Here it is actually numbers. So when you put this plus sign, it will be added. But this one, this is string and this is another string. And you are putting this plus sign to add to string. So those two string cannot be added, but it can be printed. Okay, one string will be printed next to another. Okay, so it's actually joined. These are added, but these are actually joined together. And this one is actually, this is just one string. 3 plus 4 is one string. This one is, there are two strings. 3 is one string and this one is another string. This is actually just one string, 3 plus 4. So these are just difference. Okay, understood? Thyssen, Trasika, sorry, you should change your name. Setuli, right? Setuli. Okay, Nevan, all understood?
Yes.
Okay.
I understood everything.
Okay, good. So you can just write, if you want, you can just note these 3 types of data type. Actually, we are printing 3 different types of data types. Okay. First thing is you should know print is the function that is used to print anything on this screen. And second thing is actually there are data types. So you have to consider that. So if you want to print numbers, now this is how it works. And the strings, you have to put them within double quotation or sometimes single quotation marks also work. Okay. So, and this one also. So these are actually, now you know that, right? This is comment. Now that hash, we are writing a comment, data type. This is actually, this should come under data type. You don't need this. We can write comment here, but not necessary. Okay. Different data types. So since they are different data types, the output differs. Okay, it's differing. That's the reason. Okay, so now you just write this and then let me know. We'll move to this next important function or method. These are actually, you can write the heading as function Python basics, something like that. The heading, the first heading should be Python basics, and the subheading is actually data type or something types, Python data types, something like that. You can write. Now just write these things, note these things in your writing book. And then what you have to do is you have to practice this. Okay, you can use this or the installed IDE. You can use any of them to practice this thing. Okay, since actually we don't need to run another application, so that's why I'm using this online editor just to run this thing. But at some point, this is actually not useful. We can't do whatever we want with this because we don't have the full control over this file. Okay, this file is actually stored on the server, so we don't have the access to the server. So that's the problem. So when you write something on your computer, then you can actually manage it. Okay, because that is stored on your computer, so that is there. So I understand that. I hope that you understand these things. Setuli, right?
Yes, sir.
Just write these things. Note this down quickly. We have to move to the next method or next important thing. Because we have to finish this today, so then only we can study the real application development. So I was thinking to teach you the game, but it's something sometimes might not be useful, that much useful. So that's why it's better that teaching you how to develop a web application. So because we normally we require that for any type of business, for any companies, they are actually using websites. Okay, so that is there. So functional with functions, login, registration. Okay, like adding records, updating records, deleting records. These are there. These are the functions. So you should study them. So for that one, it might take some, we require some classes to do that. So I'm actually trying to finish these basics today itself. Then we can move to that very important part of this Python. Yeah.
So I drew that board and I finished it.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
So I want to say I drew the board and I wrote everything.
Oh, okay. All finished? Not yet. Now these are just 3 functions. Just hurry up. Satuli, finished?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Tisem?
No.
Okay, hurry up. Just see now, this is what you should understand. Okay, the very important point here is computer, it is actually different. How computer is actually function, how computer function is actually different. It's not like us because we have knowledge. Okay, so we can use that to understand anything. Okay, so based on the condition situations, we just act. But the computers are different because they don't have anything such. Okay, they don't have such things. So that's why what happened is actually whatever already given to the computer, only that can be performed, that only can perform. Okay, so which means that if you just give something different or something like wrong, it cannot understand. Now that's what I said. For example, like now you can't add this as well. Now see, here also it's just generating an error. The reason is we are trying to add a number with string. So this is not possible. For us, it's 3 also a number, this also a number, but for computer, Python, it just understand this as number and this as string. So it cannot add those two. So that's why it's just giving some error. So you can add integers to integers. You can add two numbers. Okay, so it's actually, we are not adding, it's just a string. Okay, there is no, it's not considered as addition or something. It's just string 3 plus 4, that's all. But this means add these two strings. That is why that plus is not displayed here. You see, here there is no plus, which means it's added actually. But these are considered as strings, so that's why not added as this, because they are not numbers. For the Python, these are not numbers. Okay, we'll go to the next. thing. That's what we learned, okay? These variables. So sorry, that is actually data type, right? So this is not that. We learn data types. These are variables. Wait, is it important for you? That's what I want to know. Oh, yeah, it's very important. So now we'll study something variable. Sorry. Okay, now what we are going to study is variables. These are comments. Okay, you should know that. You don't need to write when you practice these things. I'm just writing this because you should know what we are going to learn. Okay, so that is why I'm just writing the topic. I'm just typing the topic here. Okay, so now variable means it's actually a memory location. Memory location. So now when you print something, it just printed. It's a runtime process. So now we are just printing something, so that will be executed by the processor. Okay, these instructions are actually written in Python, but it is actually executed by the processor. Okay, even though it is written in programming language or whatever, they are actually executed by processor, the CPU, central processing unit of the computer. That's the device, okay, the component of the computer. So it is also executed by the processor. And it is actually stored on the RAM, because whatever processed should be stored there on the RAM for a short period. Okay, after the execution, it will be removed. But say it's displayed, no? So then it's still there on the RAM. You should know that. Now, when it is displayed on the computer, which means it is actually stored there on the RAM. It's actually, you should learn these things under hardware, that under that topic or subject. Okay, computer hardware something. But I'm just saying you should know that these are there. One thing is they are stored on memory for a short period, and another thing is they are actually executed by the processor. Now variables actually, these are stored, okay, but it's stored when just to display these things for the execution of processor and all. Okay, sometimes like it depends on, sometimes it is it might be stored on the memory of CPU, and there are different memories. There are several memories on computer, so it can be used. So now if you actually want a place to store something for the operation, you have to define a variable. Variable means it's actually a memory location. What is variable? It's a memory location. So we are defining means we are actually saying to the computer that I need this place on the computer. I mean, a place on the RAM to store or to put this value, to keep the value. Why we are going to keep that? For some operations. Okay, for some operations. So that is there. For now, we'll see how to declare or how to define a variable something. Okay, here to write or define a variable on Python, you don't need to use any keyword. There's no keyword for that. Simply, let's say A. A is a variable. Now, you have to, on Python, you have to give a value for that. Then only it will be allocated. So that location will be allocated to store a value. So now we'll see now, if I want to store a number, then I have to put that number. Let's say 4. Okay, now what is this? What's the meaning of it? A is actually a memory location on RAM. And this one is the value that is stored on that location. Now, see the use of it. Now, when you want to print this 4, that value, you don't write this 4. Okay, you don't write that 4 here. Now, this 4 is actually different. You should know that. The 4 that is printed is actually the 4 that you entered here, not this 4. If you want to print that 4, you have to put what? The memory location. Location's name, that is actually variable. Okay, so that is that. What is that? A. Now we say this one is variable. The reason is we can store different what? We can store different values there.
Yeah.
Okay, different values. For example, A is equal to 4. Now we'll print this. We'll see what will be printed here. See, can you see this? Don't put this inside double quotation marks. Okay. The reason is it's actually variable. Yeah.
Should it always be an A?
Sorry.
Should it always be an A?
To what? Can you
Wait,
please?
I'm very sorry, sir. Should that always be an A?
No. It can be any character or any text. You can write anything. Okay. Well, let's say.
Like?
Yeah. You can write number 1. Okay. Let's say number 1. You can write something like this, but it should be short. No, that's why I just put A. Otherwise, like let's say you will be repeating this number 1, something like that here. Okay, now it takes time. Okay, it takes time. So to avoid that or to reduce that, we just short the name of the variable. So let's something like this: A, B, C, X, Y. Mostly this is what used. Okay, the variable names. We are just writing the short names. Okay, or we are writing the names shortly. Not the short names. We are writing the names shortly. The reason is to reduce the time that we take to type the code, to write the code. Okay, now let's just put A, and when you print it, see, now not A. A is not printed here. It is printing 4. The reason is A is a variable, which means, or we can simply say a name of that's the name of the memory location. And when it's called, it's or in another way you can say it's an address. Okay. Now you are posting something. Okay. So when you post, you put the address now. So it is going to the address. Actually, it's not going to the address. It is going to the person who visits in that address. Okay, something similar to that. So here, when you print A, not A is printed. The value that is stored on that variable, on that location is actually printed. Do you understand this thing?
Yeah.
Understood?
I understood.
What about this same? Do you understand? Okay, good. So see, this is how it works. Okay, so then A is printed. So now we'll see what's the use of it. And I think that now I just want to explain you that its variable means now I'm just defining A is equal to 5. Okay, A is actually already created. We have stored 4, but when you just now what we are doing is actually in that 4 and the same location we are removing 4 and then storing 5 there. So now when we print this, we'll see what happens. When you run this, what is printed now? 5 is printed, not 4. Okay, we'll have another print function to print another A. Now what will be printed? See, Tell me what are the numbers will be printed for this one and this one.
Okay.
Listen, for this one, what will be printed?
4.
Okay, for this second one?
5.
Okay, Nevan,
Yeah.
what is your answer?
I said 4 and 5.
Okay, 4 and 5. For Setuli also 4 and 5, right?
Yes, sir.
We'll see, we'll see. See, what is printed now? 5 and 5. So the thing is, I said that this is address. Okay, this is an address. Let's think as address. So address means a home address. Okay, a house address. So there was a person. So he is actually vacated. Okay, moved to another place. So another one is actually visiting there, staying there. Okay, another one is actually staying there. So now this is actually old. So it's no more available. Okay, it's the same thing. The same location, there was 4, but when you assign another value, what happens here is 4 will be removed. Okay, from the memory, 4 will be removed, and this one will be kept. Okay, so then whenever you access the address A, there will be 5 only, not 4. Understood?
Understood.
You can print any number of you can print this A many times, but what you get here? 5 only, because 5 is the value that is stored on that variable, on that memory, or on that memory location, whatever. So this is no more valid. So that is why it's called as variable, which means it can hold or store different values. Okay, different means that it's varying, right? So varying. So that's why it's called as variable. Okay, anyway. Now I'm going to change this one as B. Okay, now what is the use of this? We have stored 4 in A and 5 in B. This is they are actually memory locations. So now when you print A, it will be printing this value 4. So now what is the use of it? Now we have stored. Now what we can do is actually we can do arithmetic operations and not. And the use of it is actually to store different values, When the application run, there can be different inputs. So based on that, the values should be changed. Okay, the value should be changed. For example, the calculators and all, whatever you use on your computer and all, no, they are also actually functioning something similar to this. Now 1, 2, whatever you just enter. So they are different inputs now. So they are different inputs. So to store them, there will be variables. Okay. For example, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, something like that. So that number 1, it can be 1 or 2 or 3 or 35 or 68, whatever you just enter on your that calculator application. Okay. So that is why that these are the situations that these variables and all, they are actually used. So here we don't have that real inputs, user inputs. We are not taking them. We will anyway see that. So this is how it just works. Now, for example, now you can just add these two. Now, when you add A and B, what's going to be the answer here? Setuli, tell me the answer. I'm going to print A plus B here. What's going to be the answer now?
Sir, I think 5.
A plus B. A plus B.
Yes, sir.
The same, your answer? A plus B.
4.
Okay. Nevan, what do you say?
I say it's 9.
Okay, so that's the correct answer because A is equal to what? 4, no? So it's 4 and this one is 5. B is 5. So 4 plus 5 means what? It's 9. So it should be 9. It should be 9. See? So this is how these variables work. Actual use of variable is not this. Okay? We should create a variable and that should store different values. So that different values actually, it will be when user enter something, the data, the numbers or whatever. Okay. So when you enter 4, it should consider as 4. It should store 4 in this location. When you enter 5, it should be 5. A should be equal to 5. When you enter 100, it should be 100. Okay, that is why we create the variables. We should create a variable and we should assign it to the user input. We'll see that also, okay? So now operators are there. Actually, you can use this. This is to add. This is to subtract this production actually to multiply numbers, divide, divisions and all that. There are other operators, but you don't need to worry about them at this moment. You can see that we can use them, that minus, okay, these also can be used, anything. Okay, it's possible. We'll see the answers. All correct, right? Yeah.
Yes.
It should be 4 and it's actually minus 1 and 20 and this one is 0.8. Okay, this is how it works. And now, do you want to write these things?
Yeah.
If you want, just write these down quickly.
Please pardon me, sir.
These are actually, the heading is variables. Okay. And this is a variable. You should know that this is a variable. A is a variable. B is a variable. Not just numbers, you can assign strings. Okay, strings. But when you assign strings, you have to put them within the double quotation marks. Okay. That, sorry, double quotation mark, yeah. You have to write that.
So it's the third one. A times B. Oh, what's that, sir?
Which one?
The third one.
This one?
Mm.
That is actually called that is star mark.
Yeah.
That's one. That's the mark.
So does the star mark multiply?
Yeah. To multiply.
Multiplication.
Yeah, this is to multiply. This is division. Now you don't need to actually use this. You can use the IDE as well. That one, the installed one. Okay, but I didn't use today. But we will be anyway using. Okay, when we develop the real application, real in the sense like we will be getting the input from users. Okay, so when we do so, we have to use different modules and all. In the sense like already written code, Python codes, we will be anyway using them, and then with that, like we will be getting the users input. Okay, and then we'll see now developing them. The Python is actually a little bit different. Mostly this one, you should know that this PHP is used to develop websites. The reason is we can simply write within HTML. Now, whatever you see here is actually HTML. Okay, but you see is actually on your browser. But you see that HTML and CSS, those two languages. Okay, so the PHP can be actually simply written within HTML. Okay, on that HTML file, but this one, Python cannot be written so, and the Java also, that is also not the same. So that is why PHP is used for web development, but for the Python, they have like different capabilities. Okay, it's actually depends on users or the requirements, applications requirements. Okay, with some for the some requirements we can simply use Python because it has that ability, or there are some methods and all that we can simply use it to develop the application. So it might be there. Okay, it is actually totally depending on the requirements of the application. You know, you will anyway understand these things in future. You don't worry. Okay, finished. All finished.
Yes, sir. I finished everything.
The same. Did you finish?
Yeah.
Okay, Setuli.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have finished my work.
Okay, now we'll move to, there are like, these are very important things, decision making. Okay, like we just we don't just print everything in sequence, okay? We don't just do so. We don't just do them with the computer. We have to take decisions, okay? That is actually possible with if else statements and all. So we can do that. There are the, okay. So we will see the decision making and this one, user input, these two. So those are very important. So then we will see them. So others are actually a little bit advanced things. Okay. Now decision making, this is actually we have already done before or as well. So for that one, we use if statement. If statement. Now we'll see. If what we have to do, we are going to take a decision. Okay, we have two numbers. This is A. I will just change it as number 1, N1, which means number 1, and number 2. So this is number 1, number 2. So now what we are going to do is we have to take the decision. Which one is smaller or the bigger? So that is what we have to take. That's the decision that we are going to take here. Okay. So for that one, we can't just use if. We can't just use if. We have to, that is actually the start of that decision making function or the block or the code. Okay, we are just started. It just starts with if, and we have to give the condition. The condition that should be true, then only the decision will be made. Okay, that will be compared. Now, if number one is, now this is how we have to read, smaller than number 2. We have already done this, but to explain this, I have to explain this, no? So what does it say? If no, not like that. Now you have to just read something like this. Number 1 is smaller than number 2. Number 1 is smaller than number 2. That is what it says. Now we have put if. When you put if, it means if number 1 is smaller than number 2. So if that is true, so that is actually given that true, that condition, it should be true. Okay, that condition should be true. Otherwise, the statement won't be printed. Okay, so any decision cannot, the decision cannot be made. So that is what you should know. Okay, in the on Python, we have to put this mark, and then we have to write what? And there should be what? A small space. I mean, a space, not a small space. There's a space that indent. You have to indent this. You have to put in space here. Okay. So that space should be there. We can put 2 or 1, whatever. Now what we have to do is we have to write this. What should happen? That is actually here we are making decision. If that is true only, the decision is actually, if that is true only, you should do this. Otherwise, you don't need to do anything. So that is what we are going to say here. So now you print, if that is true, if this statement is true, you print or you say, so print means now you say the statement is true. We'll say like we will print so, okay. The statement is true. It's true. A statement means this is the statement, okay. Okay. So now this is not variables. We are just studying decision making. With if actually if is a keyword here, or I will just say if statement. So we are studying this. We're going to take decision. Okay, now here this is the statement. You should know that, which means this is. So do you understand what is a statement? When I say statement, do you understand that? Okay, then good. Okay, this is a statement. So if it's true, it's going to say it's true. Otherwise, it should say the statement is false. Okay, now we'll see that else part later.
That means,
yeah,
right, if N1 is equal to N2, the computer, we don't need to do anything. But the computer will just say it's true.
Sorry?
That means when you write if N1 is equal to N2, if we just run that command, they will show us if it's correct or not.
Yeah. They can't actually. We are saying computer to say this one. So yeah, we can understand that, but what should happen? Okay, what should happen next? That is actually we should write. Computer can understand this. Okay, the point we are writing this one, the Python or the computer can understand this. So whether this is true or false, but when it's true, what should happen? When it's false, what should happen? That is actually we have to write. Okay, then computer will do that. That's how it works. Do you understand this? Now we are saying computer will understand this. So now it's true. When it's true, it's actually true, right? It's 4. And number 1 is 4. Number 2 is actually 5. So 4 is smaller than 5. Okay, it's a small number. So if the statement is true, so then it should work, right? So we'll see. We'll run this and see. See, this is now printed. Okay, now the statement is true. It's printed. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, when I'm doing it's telling it is wrong.
It is wrong means?
The sentence is wrong.
Sentence is what?
The sentence is wrong.
Can you please share your screen?
Okay. Can you see that, sir?
Not yet. Now I can. Yeah, it's actually an error. Now I have already said that there should be a space. In front of print, you should put any space. Just enter any space, put any space. So I mean, yeah, just in space. In front of that statement. Print statement, how to enter any space.
Okay, sir.
Just put that and run. Now. In front of print. Now you have started typing print before P. No, not after that. Not after that. Just remove them. The spaces. You have to. It should be at the beginning. In the sense, it should be before P. That P for that print. You understand that?
Okay, sir.
Now see. Can you see this? The difference. If is here, the P is here. There is a small space, 2 spaces there. Understood?
Okay, sir.
There should be at least one space, but it can be any, but you have to maintain the same. For example, when you want to print another one, that should be here. The the alignment should be equal to this, the print one, this one. Okay, that is very important. Now we'll see. Now I'm going to make this one false. Now the condition is going to be not true. So now what should happen? I'm going to write, at that moment we have to write else. Else means if the condition is false. Else means if the condition is false. Okay. Now another decision. Now you have to do this. Okay. Now it's actually taking decisions. You have to do what? Else do this. But print.
So I say
The statement is not true. Okay. So this is how it should work. Sorry, this else should be here. Okay. Understood. These are very important. In Python, when you just mess with these spaces and all. Now, if is starting here, and this else should be, the alignment should be equal to this one. If. Okay. And there should be a space for that as well. It should be any function, any method that you are going to use. This should be used. Okay. So this is how you have to, we just take decision with programming languages. We just take decision, and after taking decision, now what we do? We do some actions, right? Not just take decision. We have to, after taking the decision, we have to execute something. We are executing. Now, this is actually execution. Okay. Printing is actually execution. Decisions actually made here. Okay. Now, this is a statement. It says if it's true, then execute this. So this decision is not taken because it's not true. So now it will be taken. Now this one. So since it's false, this will be executed. So they actually, these all actually comes under decision making. All are actually part. These are just part of them, the decision making. So all together is a decision making process. But this is a decision making process. So with the computer programming language. Understood? Just try this thing quickly. So then we'll move to the another important part, that is actually taking user input. So with that, we will finish today's class. So quickly write these down. These spaces are very important. Okay, don't write this like, don't put that, start typing here P or print something like that. You have to keep these spaces when you write in your writing book. Also, you have to keep these spaces, okay, in front of P. These alignments are very important. Okay, these are very important. Now you have to keep these spaces, otherwise it's not right. In universities, now we actually in exams that we don't use computers and all. We just type the code blocks and all on our exam papers. So when we write, you can't just avoid these spaces and all. It's very important, okay? Now in our country, now I'm not sure about other countries and all. So because we mostly use the writing exams, writing on paper. We write this code on paper. It's actually useless. But anyway, that is our system. That's why we do. Now, if you're actually going to any universities and all, you might face these situations. to write a code or something. So there you can't do, because these are very important. So just write. So okay, quickly write this down and then let me know. So we'll move to the next and the last function.
Sir? Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I done the code using this method.
Sorry?
I done a code using this method.
You can't do.
I said I done the code using this method.
Ah, you have done. Yeah, good. Okay, now these are very important. Okay, you can't just say, well, you can't ask why these spaces and all. That's how it's written. The programming language is actually written in that way. So no questions. So it's actually simply we can't ask those types of questions. The reason I have already said that in the previous classes as well, they are actually the way how it is actually written. Okay, all done?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Yet what they say?
Excuse me, sir. You are bleaching.
Sorry?
Sir, in this I can't go to the. I'm going to print what you have printed in your screen, but I can't get into the other row.
You can't mean now, you have to use enter. Understood? If you want to go to the next line, you have to hit enter. Press enter. Now, okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, that's how you have to do. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. No worries.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So now that's how you have to do. Now the next important thing is, okay. Next important thing is this user input. Now, so far now, what we have done is actually we just typed something and we just printed the same, whatever we just entered there. Now we are going to take the input from user and we are going to print that. We are going to display that. Now, this is also not the real application or real use of programming languages. Okay, but this is also very useful, but the way how it's used is actually different. These are used in real applications, but not as this. Okay, anyway, we'll see that. We'll see how to write that. Okay, user input. Taking user input or something, I'm just going to write that as user input simply. And now the function or the method to take user input is actually input. Okay, input, that's it. And we'll say I'm just going to experiment this one. So we'll see what is going to be displayed. So it says EOF error when reading a line Okay. Now we'll pass something. Okay, we'll pass something, enter something. Enter something. Okay, now also it's actually saying that there is an error. Okay, now the method is actually correct. Now we will actually assign this one to a variable, okay, user input. We'll see that as well. Now this is actually what? This is similar to that A, B that we used. So it's a variable. We are assigning that to this one. So which means user input is a variable, and that means this is the value, whatever the user's input going to be the value to that. Okay, now it's actually making the same error. Okay, we'll see. We should not. So we'll now print. Yeah. We will print the user input. Okay.
So how to put the commas?
If you want to put commas, like you have to just put here. That's all. What?
Sir,
In
my desktop, it has 9 and the comma.
Where 9 and comma, like comma should be next to next to M, right side. It should be right side. Okay, to the M, next to M. Okay, that's where the comma is actually. You just check that.
Keypad.
Where's the M? B, N. No, what is the keyboard? Okay, might be different one. Okay, anyway, if you have 9 and comma, you have to use shift plus 9. Just enter that. Try that. Shift plus shift, not the plus. You have to enter. You have to press that 9 by holding by holding shift. You have to press that first. Shift and then 9.
Okay, sir.
Enter.
Thank you, sir. It works now.
Okay. Okay, it's actually again giving the same error. We'll see. There is no issues with that.
Sir, I think there's something wrong with the spaces.
Which spaces? No, there's no space actually. It didn't read. There should be this input method. There should be. If there is a problem, it should be with the method. Okay, I will just use this one and we'll see. Okay, input. Sorry. It's not possible to do with this because it cannot read the line Okay, so that user input is not possible with this. I'm sorry for that. So that's why I said that there's a limitation with this, the online editor and all. So we can't just use they might have limited that. So now what we have to do is we have to open our IDE, whatever that the IDE that we installed, IDE. Okay, ideally. The IDE that we installed is actually ideally. So we have to install that. Okay, now I will share that one. We'll see. Okay, now I just pasted the same. Now you can see this one, right? And we'll run. Now it's working, right? So for that's actually with the problem with the online editor. So that is, I forgot that. So we can't just do that because they might have limited the access. So enter username. Now it's actually asking for the username. Okay, now what we have written is username is equal to input and whatever the entered one. Okay, now this is actually the text that we are using to display for the users. This is for user friendliness. So because otherwise they don't know what to enter. They are asking to enter the username. So I will just type, okay, my name as T. Okay, now this is user's name, username. So when I enter now, it should display the username, but it didn't. Okay. Print username. I'm sorry. So now what happens here is actually when it runs. So this is actually executed line by line. So when it see, it just stops here when it see the input. So now it will be stopped. So it will be expecting for an input. So when we give something, the input and enter, it should display here, but it didn't. Okay, it didn't display. Wait.
Sir, what's the program's name again?
Sorry?
What's that program's name?
Which one? That ideally?
Ideally, okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now see, I found the actual ID for that. Sorry, this is actually different. You can't edit these. You can't edit this. Okay, because they have actually customized this one for this purpose only. Now here you can see, now when I'm just entering that, and when I hit enter, it's displaying. Okay. So this is how it works. Username is Rifki. Now it should work there as well, but it didn't. So did you see that? I will like send the link as well. Now this will work for that. Okay, this is different from the other the previous one, this one. Okay, it cannot read this function, this method. It's actually customized for this user method. Sorry, the Python method. So I will put that link so you can practice that there. So now what happens here is actually now I can't edit this. Yeah, we can't edit this. But what you can do here is actually you can just test this one. Okay, you don't have run button as well, right? The reason is actually when you enter something that not appropriate or not expected, so it might cause some huge problems to their computer. Okay, because it is running on a remote computer. Okay, it's actually called server, but it's also a computer. So when you enter something wrong, or when you just type here something that, I mean, when you enter means the program, a wrong program, it might cause a serious damage to the computer. It might happen. Okay, so that is why they have limited this. So we can't just do so anything to this. So that's there. So what you can do is actually you can reload this to see now it's run, and now here it's asking for the name. Now you can enter your name and it will be printing the name that you entered. So that is how it works. It should work on our computer, but it didn't work. Okay, now it may be because of okay. So this is not the way. Actually, we will open this one. Okay, now you can see this is when you go to another end, when you hit enter, it is executing this. Okay, so that second line won't be executed. So to avoid this, we have to, I'm going to open the already created one. That is actually here. The first code that we created, I will open this. Now see, this is actually not required. Okay, we'll copy that. Okay, now I will just write username. Okay, username is a variable. We are assigning it to an input, user input. Okay, and we are saying the user enter something. Okay, enter something. You can just write anything you want. I'm just typing this, enter something. Okay, and therefore in the second line, I'm going to print this. So you just print what? The user input. Okay, or just print this one. The user entered the user, sorry, that is what I should be, user input, no, not the username, user input. Okay, user input. So now enter. Here, I'm going to put comma and user input. Okay. Now we'll see how it works. Now it's actually completed. I'm going to save this. I'm saving. Sorry, did I share the screen? I'm so sorry, I didn't share the screen. You didn't see that, right? I was typing this. User input, that's the variable name. And the input is a function. When it read input, it will stop running and we'll be expecting something to be entered. And when you enter and press the enter key button, okay, that button, and it will print the user's input. Okay, I'm going to save this, and now I will run this. Okay, run this module. Okay, now it's started. Enter something. Okay, I'm going to say this is a coding class. Okay, now I have to enter. So now it says the user enter. This is a coding class. Now actually we have to put this within double quotation down. To do that, we have to modify the code. That should be something like this. Okay, something like this. Backspace and this double quotation, and then double quotation, and this one. And I will put comma here and here. So I'm not sure, but sometimes it might make errors. I'm just going to try this. Okay, first of all, we have to save this, and then we have to run this module. Okay, now it's restarted. Now this is where it is asking for something. I'm going to enter this again. This is a coding class. Okay, now yeah, it worked. The user entered. This is a coding class. Now there's a mistake now. There's a space. Okay, so I should not put. We should not put that comma here. So instead of that, we have to put plus. Okay. To join, because it's a string, it's a variable, and it's another string. So we are just joining them. Okay, actually, yeah, we are joining or adding them. Whatever. Can you see? So again, I'm going to run this, run the module. Now this is how you have to work. Okay. This is how you have to work, and I'm going to run the module. Now it's again asking for this. I'm just going to enter the same. This is a coding class, and I'm going to press enter. So now it's correct. The user entered. This is a coding class. All understood? Clear? Nevan, Tissen, Setuli.
Sorry, sir, my mic was on mute. I'm in the middle of doing a code.
Okay. So now just copy this, write this down. This is how you have to write the user input. Okay, these are actually, you can just modify this. Very important part here is actually this one, input. That is the method. Okay, you without assigning this to this one, you can simply print. For let's say, yeah, I can try that, but I'm not sure whether it will be printed, because that is actually, everything is experiment. So we can just try different things to see whether they are understandable by the computer, that or it is possible on Python or not. So it's possible in Python or not. That is something we can just understand by modifying this code and all. We can try different things. Okay, I just tried and it worked. So it's there. So you have to know these things. It worked, right? This comma is actually will enter in space. Okay, it will be just entering in space, or if you want to print many values, you have to separate. If you want to separate them, you can use this comma. If you want to add them together, then you can use plus sign. So that is the use. These are the use of them. So that's what I have used. That's why I have used them. So you can see. Finish these things quickly. So that's all for today. Okay, now what you have to do is, now you have written those things on your book, right? You have to try them, not on the online editor. You have to just open a file, the already created one, or you can create a new one. Okay, now this is actually here. You have to click on new file and you can write your code and then save it. Don't create many files. Okay, you can simply use one file, because I just removed because they are actually not necessary. I don't need to keep them because they are not real application. No, they are not the real product. It can be deleted. There's no issue with that. But if it is a real product, we can't just delete. So we can't delete. So what we have to do is we have to comment them. If you don't want, you can just comment. Okay, so it won't be executed. Other things will be executed other than the commented one. Okay, that's it. Yeah.
I'm Tisan. Now I downloaded Python.
Okay.
Now I downloaded Python, but it comes like this.
Now, yeah. Now, what is the Windows version? It's actually Windows 10.
So it comes like this.
This means actually can you share your screen?
Yes.
I think you have already installed.
I am also Setuli. I got like that.
Okay, now.
I also got like that.
Yeah. But now it's not clear for me. Okay, I can't just, without reading the instruction, I can't just say anything. What is that mentioned? First, there are 3 options, right? Can you read?
Yes, modify setup. There are 3 options to click on: modify, repair, and uninstall.
I think you have already installed, but it's not installed in the proper way. Now, can't you search? Can't you search for Python?
So I
did it like this.
Okay, now
you
actually you have to repair the installation. Okay, you have to repair it. Click on repair and follow the instructions.
Excuse me, sir. I'm very sorry for interrupting. But
I went to Google Python.
Sorry?
And then it came.
Sorry?
And then I downloaded it. Then I said, I went to this PC and downloaded it.
Okay.
Then only it can set up.
Excuse me, sir. I'm very sorry for interrupting, but I just want to say I done a code.
Okay.
I'm very sorry for interrupting. I want to say I done a code.
Okay, good. It's working properly, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So that's it now. If you want, you can leave, because that's all for today. The same, like you have to share the screen if possible. You are connected with the mobile, right?
With the tab.
Tab. So next time, what you have to do is install the Zoom application on your computer desktop. Okay, and you have to join with that. So then you can share the screen. So then it will be very clear for me. Sometimes I can just access your computer from here. So then I can do whatever, like if you can't do that, anything, I can just do it from here. So that's also possible now, that remote control. So that's also there. Okay, now the problem is actually with your installation. So what you have to do is you have to modify it or repair it. So if possible, I will send a video for you to follow up. Okay, a YouTube video. So I will be sending it through the coordinator of the institute. Okay, I don't know the name of it. Okay, now I will be just doing that. Okay, so I'll be sending that to you so you can just follow it. Understood? Okay, so that's all. So with that, we will end today's class. Okay, so that's all. In the next class, we'll see how to develop a website, a web application. So on that website, there will be forms to get users inputs. These are not the real use or the real way of using these programming languages. These are just to learn. Okay, real way is actually the real application should run on browser or mobile application or desktop application. So that's what we have to do. So here we will be just seeing how to develop the web application. So with some inputs, just entering something to database, retrieving something, displaying something from the database, and updating the database, the data on the database, and deleting. So that kind of things. Okay, it will anyway take 2-3 classes. Okay, we'll see, because it will be involving so many setups, configurations and all. Okay, we'll see in the future classes. Okay, understood?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, then that's all. We will end today's class.
Okay, sir. So thank you so much for teaching these lessons. I like this lesson so much. Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Okay, yeah, you're most welcome.